Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I'm Gene, and today we will be going to Washington, D.C. As you all know, a little over a week ago, Trump sent the National Guard into Washington, D.C. to deal with the crime problem. And I'm not going to say whether it's a success or not. What I'm going to do right now is let you hear from a couple of Washington, D.C. women talking about what has happened to crime or the amount of crime since Trump sent in the National Guard.
Finally able to chill at a red light with my window down, not worried about if one of them young niggas is coming. Riding through the city, feeling more safe than I ever felt.
So President Trump has not even had control over Washington, D.C. for 30 days. And I have on my For You page video after video showing D.C., specifically Union Station, and how clean and safe it is. People don't understand how big of a deal it is, specifically for Union Station, because there is a bridge, whether it's the bypass, it's either 95, 395, or 495, where the homeless, as well as people who are abusing drugs, as well as the drug dealers, they just squat. It's clean. It's all gone. This was also an underpass bridge where people would throw their waste. So you would drive on the main road, and to the left and right of you is nothing but trash. It's all clean. People don't understand how big of a deal this is, because the Capitol is right there within like a 6 or 7 minute walk. And then also local residents, they did not like walking there, whether in the daytime or the evening. Some people would take taxis just to avoid any type of encounters. And people have been talking about cleaning this up for a decade. And you mean to tell me President Trump hasn't even had control for 30 days and he cleaned it all up?
You just heard from two women, their personal experiences of what Washington, D.C. was like before Trump sent in the National Guard and what it's like now. So, you can look at the Democrats, they can cite to statistics, but keep in mind that I believe it's the chief of police of Washington, D.C., is under investigation for fudging the figures, for, by one thing, reducing on the police reports, changing felonies to misdemeanors to make the crime rate, or the serious crime rate, look lower than it actually is. But you just heard from those two women. But so that's the number one, to debunk this idea that the National Guard is not having an effect. They are having a beneficial effect. But you're seeing all this pushback from Democrats. From the mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, but not just she, but from other, Illinois, both Illinois, the governor, and the mayor of Chicago, because Trump is thinking of sending the National Guard there, and then a couple other cities. I believe Boston is one. I could be wrong on that one. At least two other cities. Doesn't matter. The point is, you're seeing these. You can look up the specifics. The point is that you're seeing this big pushback from, for instance, in Chicago, the Mayor Johnson of Chicago, saying, we don't want to be under martial law. We don't need the National Guard. We don't want the National Guard. And especially, you have also Hochul, the governor of New York, saying exactly the same thing. Never mind that she herself sent the National Guard to patrol the New York City subways when the crime was getting really bad. And there's still crime on the subway, so I don't know why the National Guard wouldn't be there. But the point is that why aren't these mayors and governors calling for the National Guard? And it's like they don't want crime to be reduced. And I don't actually believe that. I think there's a better explanation, which is actually somebody else had the insight. I don't remember his name. I would give him credit. It was an article I read, and I would quote from the article. But what he said, and with which I agree, is that Trump is showing the incompetence of these mayors and these governors, especially the mayors of these blue high crime cities. And talking about Washington, D.C., what Trump is doing, for instance, you just heard the woman say about clearing all the homeless people out of Union Station, out of a part of Union Station. And the obvious question is, well, why couldn't Washington, D.C. do it? Either they're incompetent or they could do it and they didn't want to do it. And the same thing with the reduction in crime. It's showing up there either that they have other issues and they don't care about the safety of their citizens, or they do care and they're just incompetent. But we're seeing it. It's the same thing as the border. We had a sealed border when Trump left office, and then all these 20 million is the high estimate I've seen. We'll say 11 million to 20 million unlawful aliens flooding into the border. Trump takes office and boom, it's down to just about zero now after only, well, I was going to say after only 7 months, but actually from about the moment he took office, it just dropped like a rock. And obviously because, well, you could say it's because the Biden administration was unable to do what Trump did, but the obvious answer is no, they wanted that's why you're seeing all these sanctuary cities that all Democrat cities, they want unlawful aliens to come into the country. That's what Biden wanted, or the people controlling him because he has dementia, or the auto pen, whatever you want to say. That's what they wanted, and they didn't want that. So you don't want somebody like Trump to say, well, you didn't need it. They were talking about passing a law for immigration reform during the Biden administration that would set that nothing would be done unless there were an average of 5,000 unlawful aliens coming over the border over a week or something like that. And Trump said that he showed we didn't need that law. We just needed a different president, which we now have, and you just saw what happened. So that's why the Democrats are pushing back. They want the unlawful aliens, but getting back to the crime, I don't think they want the crime. I think part of it is they want, well, you have Mamdani, the strong man who couldn't lift 135 pounds. And actually, I'm not even sure of that because I'm thinking of going back to the gym, retiring and go back. But when I was younger, I used to lift weights, and they showed him. I'm not going to put the video up. It's all over the place. You can find it. But he's trying to bench press. They're saying 135 pounds, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't even do it. He couldn't even get it off the rack, off the pins to do it. He needed help. And I looked at that video, and to me, those plates on the end, they don't, well, the standard weight, if that's a standard bar, then it weighs 45 pounds. So 135 pounds would meet a 45-pound plate on each end. But those plates, to me, I mean, the ones I've seen, they're about this big, and usually they're solid. The ones that you can see in the video, they got little hole cutouts, and it's smaller. I suspect that those could be 35-pound plates, not 45, which would make that the whole thing, the bar and the weights, it would be a total of 115 pounds that he was unable to lift, which is really pathetic. And so, I mean, for a guy his age, we'll find out when I go back to when I was lifting weights, when I was about his age. He's 33, yeah, his age. I could, I mean, that's nothing. That's nothing. And I wouldn't be surprised if I could, when I go back to the gym, that I could do it today, and probably more. So anyways, getting off the trail, I don't know what got me on. Oh, I know, because Mamdani, what he wants to do is he wants to eliminate all misdemeanors if he becomes mayor, that no more anything that's a misdemeanor would no longer be a crime at all. So that the point is, I mean, the reason is because a lot of the great majority of people arrested in the jails or being arrested for crimes are minorities, are specifically or mostly black people, and they don't like the optics of that. And I would say you notice that Trump picked up the black vote, he increased the black vote because they realize that most, as I said, most of these crimes are unfortunately being committed by black people, but most black people are voting for Democrats, and that's a problem. Now I know whereof I speak because the last place I lived before I moved to New York, I moved to Tennessee, but I lived in New York for about 40 years, and for the last 11 years, I lived in Harlem. I live just a block away from, I forgot what it's called, the Hall of Justice or something. It's Al Sharpton's organization or whatever, and he would preach there. He would go make speeches on Saturdays occasionally, and there would be loudspeakers actually blasting it out onto the street. So I know the people there. I know the where of the people I speak, and I can even say my apartment got broken into. They caught the guys the thieves or the burglars within about 2 hours from when I reported it, and it turned out that they had robbed about or burgled about, I don't know how many other people. Three. I had to go down to a grand jury to testify, and it was me, and there were 3 other victims, and all of them, they were black. So the victims. So in this case, 75% of the victims were black, and you have because I lived in Harlem, so you have what's happening. I mean, if you're black, you have to pay attention to this because you're raising especially if you're a parent, you're raising your kids, you're teaching them right from wrong, you're teaching them obviously not to steal, and then you have Democrats saying, well, because of slavery, they're justified in doing it, or oppression, or white supremacy, or whatever. You teach your kids morality and right from wrong, and then you have same thing in the schools. Your kids, they go to a public school. That's why you're seeing black parents especially want charter schools and want school vouchers to go to private schools because they're sending their kids to learn. They're in these schools. They want to learn. Sometimes you have the teachers who don't know any more than the students do. But that's number one. But number two, you'll have kids will be disruptive in class and ruin it for. I mean, would be black kids. If you're talking Harlem, almost all black kids, and some Hispanics, probably not too many white kids, and they disrupt the class. And you, decent black parents, you want your kids to learn, and they can't learn, and the disruptive kids are not being disciplined. They're not being expelled or suspended because they don't well, it's wokeness and liberalism. Because of white supremacy. It's okay for these kids to be violent, even beat up the teachers, hit the teachers. That's okay. And then your own kid is sitting there in that classroom and wants to learn and can't. So that's why it's not a coincidence. It's not. I mean, you have racists out there that will say, "Well, black people, that's the way they are, and they're always going to commit a lot of crimes." No. It's because they're voting Democrat. I don't recall. Well, you go from the end of the Civil War to Roosevelt. You go back and you look, and I guarantee you're not going to see these crime rates from black people that you're seeing today. That you will not see it because they were voting Republicans, and because Republicans killed a lot of Democrats to end slavery, and you didn't see that. I mean, you didn't see. I think over 60%. I think the figure is 70% of black kids that are being born without fathers, born out of wedlock. You did not see that in those days. So it's encouraging. I mean, I'm speaking as a Jew who is a conservative. As I've mentioned many times, most Jews vote Democrat or liberals, and I don't understand why. I honestly do not understand why. It's well, just leave it at that. I do not understand why. I don't see what the especially now you see Democrats, the Democratic, so many. I mean, I'm not going to say that there aren't anti-Semites in the Republican Party or on the right. I'm looking at you, Tucker Carlson. Well, I don't want to get sued, so I'm not going to say he's an anti-Semite, but a lot of the signs are there based on the guests that he has and how he treats them. But on the left, it's the squad. You know, the four. They are. I believe, I could be wrong, don't sue me, but Ilhan Omar, I think they're all, I see indications that they're all anti-Semites. I don't know if they weren't anti-Semites. I don't know what an anti-Semite would do any differently. But you're seeing definitely the Democratic Party turning increasingly against Israel and supportive of Hamas, and Palestine will be free and all that. And I don't. For the life of me, as I said, I mean, I'm getting off track here, so I guess I should end. But I don't understand why so many Jews still vote for Democrats. It makes no sense to me. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. That's going to be it for today. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Your comments welcome in the comment section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I'd love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.